art. Excuse me, do that again. Blah. Okay. Hi everyone, thank you again for joining me today on the Divorcee Diaries YouTube channel. I'm Jacqueline Belle. We talk about telling them you're divorced. This could be something that is a very sensitive subject and something that happens in the very beginning of the stages of divorce, is identifying who you want to tell and when you want to tell them. And sometimes you want to tell people that you're divorced because you're fearful of them asking one day when you're not expecting it, hey, what are you and your husband doing this weekend? Or how's your husband doing? Or something like that, and it can be really nerve-wracking, especially hearing it from your family or hearing it from your coworkers and having to lie or play coy with the answer. So I am definitely someone that doesn't like to lie or front in any way. So we'll talk a little bit today about how and when I told various different groups of people within my circles about my divorce and how I did it. And I want to thank Rachel so much for commenting in one of the previous videos and asking for this specific video and for reminding me that, yes, I do need to do a topic on this. So thank you, Rachel. So without further ado, let's get into it. So there are 5 different groups of people that I want to talk about that were instrumental in me disclosing that I was going through a divorce. Not even when I was actually divorced, but I was like going through the divorce because it's just a lot easier, or it was necessary for me to move on, or necessary for me to get what I need to get done at that time. So the first person in this particular case, because it's not a group actually that I needed to tell or disclose that I was getting divorced, was my boss actually. And I'm very fortunate to have a really understanding boss who, when I told him that I need 3 days, boss man, I need 3 days. Please allow me this 3-day grace period. I am going through a divorce at this moment and I need a few days. And he was very understanding, very empathetic, and gave me the 3 days. In fact, he told me to take all the time I needed. So I felt very supported in that way. And I know I needed that because I didn't want to be worried about what is my work going to think with me being gone? What is my work going to think? Because your demeanor does change. In that time. As much as you don't want it to, you cannot keep up the front for 8 hours, right? As much as you think that you are fooling people, you are not. So remember that. And if you have a boss that you trust, do disclose that. Make sure that you talk to your boss if you do feel comfortable, and ask for the time that you need. Second group that I would like to talk about are your coworkers. I had no intention of telling my coworkers anything. I didn't think they needed to know. And I was quite humbled when I just completely bawled with one of my coworkers that just wanted to come in and say, hey, Jackie, how are you doing? I just want to catch up with you. And I couldn't lie. I just told them I am not doing well, and all the tears that came out, and it was what it was. But luckily this coworker was someone that I trusted and I was able to disclose to them then. And honestly, I recommend disclosing that you're divorced to a select few coworkers that you trust. That way, when you're going through your 8-hour work period, you're not in it alone. If you need somebody at that moment, that is not your boss. So it's a little different dynamic. Just a general coworker that you need to talk to just let it out. Let the bad day happen and just be able to talk to someone, or find that person to keep your mind off of it. I think that is instrumental in the healing process. And I've actually, by doing that, have been able to find other coworkers, through this network, and talk to them and just find out, how they were able to get through that dark time, because it can be a very dark time. The third audience I want to talk to all of you about are your friends. And I know, you think, of course you call your friends first. And yes, I called and told my friends first. However, I did not tell everyone. I did not disclose on Facebook, like, I'm going through a lot, everyone, please just leave me alone. Or on Instagram, I didn't do any of that. I was very private with all of this. I only reached out to a select few friends that I really wanted to tell, because you will soon realize this. If anyone's going through a divorce or serious breakup, then you'll know that people ask you what happened every single time. And then you'd have to be explaining yourself again. And you don't need to do that. You don't owe anyone anything. So be selective with who you want to disclose your divorce to. For me, I just picked a few of my best friends, close-knit circles, and shared that with them. And then along the way, over time, I felt comfortable enough to share with the friends that are still close to me, but just in a way I had to stagger it because I wanted to tell them in person. And sometimes your energy is just not there to tell them the way that you want to tell them. So stagger it and tell the select few friends that you feel comfortable with and that you have the bandwidth to explain what happened to, and they will be your support system. And another thing, there's no better way than to assess your friend group than after a tragedy or after a really hard time. And this was one of them. And I was like, one of the best things that happened to me after my divorce, one of the many, is that I was really affirmed in the friends that I kept, because man, do I have some amazing friends. So shout out to all of you. You're the best. So the fifth group I want to talk about is my family. So my family is wonderful, and man, did I need them at that moment in time. They were the first people I called because I needed to get out of my situation very fast. Actually, the first person I called, I think, was after I called either my best friend or my dad. So one of the two. I gave them a call. I also made sure that after I told them, after they were there for me for the initial sadness, grief, and tears, I proceeded to meet when I was ready, meet my mother and my grandmother and my aunt, because she was also there as well, at the house where my mother and my grandmother live. And I disclosed to them in person, because I wanted to tell them in person. And I wanted them to ask the questions that they wanted to ask, and I wanted to be able to provide them the answers as much as I could. Like I said, everyone's gonna wanna know what happened, where is he now, when did this start, all of those questions, right? And I wanted to answer that for them because they mean a lot to me in my life. And then after that, I just called the rest of my family that I wanted to tell, that I needed to tell, honestly, because I needed help get out of my house, and I have a big family. So I could not tell everybody in person that way, nor did I want to. I wanted to tell people individually, but I knew that my heart just couldn't do it. My heart couldn't do it, nor did I have enough time to devote to seeing every single person in my immediate family, or even in my all my cousins and all of my aunts and uncles that I'm very close to. I just didn't have the time. I was too busy healing and getting myself out of my situation. So be nimble with, or judicious with who you tell along the way, even if it's your family, because they will understand. As soon as you tell them, they will understand and they will be supportive of you. So whenever you feel that you want to let them know, that you feel comfortable to let them know, let yourself do that and let them hold you and let them comfort you in that really, really dark time. Just be prepared, right? Be judicious with where you put your energy. Don't over stress yourself too much, because rehashing your story of how it happened and having to relive it is not going to be helpful. Scaffold it or stagger it appropriately. And lastly, I want to talk about the final group, which are the ex-in-laws or your in-laws, right? And in many ways, your in-laws are your family. So one of the tragedies of being married is having to separate yourself from your in-laws. And it doesn't always have to be that way, right? For my ex-husband and I, what we decided to do was tell our families separately. So I told my family and he told his family, and we handled it in that way. Do I still talk to some of my in-laws? I see them. I've actually seen my father-in-law. So like, I feel like 2 or 3 times in the past, 2 years that I've been divorced, just out of happenstance, and it's been cordial and it's been nice. I've also seen my mother-in-law as well, and we've been able to talk, and it's nice. There's no hard feelings towards anyone on my in-law side. I love them all dearly. I actually still kept in contact with my grandparent in-laws, and because I was very close to them, and that it was like that for about a year before I realized, I think I have to really let go and move on. It's just one of those things that you can love someone from afar, and needing myself, I needed to close that chapter in my life. But I definitely miss them, and I know it's hard. It definitely is hard, but it does get easier. It does get better, and you soon realize that life can move on, and you can still see, in-laws, or even keep in touch with them. I know I have another divorcee friend who also keeps in touch with her sister-in-law, and that's fantastic. So it is completely up to you and how you want to handle that situation. It does not have to be a completely closed door, but it should be whatever it is that you want and that you need, and that both parties are, at least on the in-law side, are comfortable with, because it's something that everyone has to navigate. And I even recall, my side, my nieces, wondering like, what am I gonna do if I see him, and that's a great question. I didn't exactly know how to handle it. I still don't really, they haven't seen him to my knowledge yet. So we'll see. But as far as telling, everyone, no matter like who they are, whether it's your coworkers, your family, your in-laws, who your friends, whoever you want to disclose it to, essentially it's all up to you and your timing when you feel better. And you will feel much better sooner than you think, is what I want to say. and pretty soon you can look back and be grateful for the moment, and it will all be great. Okay, so that is my 5 recommendations for when and how to tell your boss, your coworkers, your friends, your family, and your in-laws, or your ex-in-laws, I guess, in this case. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions, or if you want to dive deeper, if you want more information, or if you want to know about any other topics, please do leave your comments below. I would love to make a video and share my wisdom, my experience with all of you who are interested. And I thank you so much for watching. Please like if you like the video, and please also subscribe. Thank you, and have a great one.